Okay, this morning I'm going to just start off and see if I can get the car's lookout and back on this thing, do a bit of a range test. I've started my GPS and the dial is saying that so far the odometer has done 135 k's, which I know is more or less not right for a variety of reasons. Let's get this show on the road. Okay, well I'm going to do the trip in gear 2, which should translate to around about 26 kilometres an hour. I seem to get some kind of like chest thing happening at the moment. It's been sort of coming for a while, so probably got a cold. Anyway, anything coming? Nothing coming. You know, every time I don't check, there's a fucking car coming along that road. Probably 2 cars go up and down in a day. Whoops, not 7 seconds. Anyway, yeah, it's a lovely Sunday morning, beautiful views. Let's see how this trip goes. I'm not going to record the whole thing. I'll just do segments of it because, like, it'd be pretty boring otherwise. Just a couple of kilometres further down the road, I just thought I'd say that on flat sections of road where you haven't got any hills that you want to lean into and it's only just got a few little bippity bumpities, this thing's really very comfortable to ride on. Not exciting. It's like a Toyota Corolla, really. Rolls along, does a great job. So if you wanted to have a scooter for commuting 10 k's each way and you were going to sit on the 27 kilometres an hour, this would probably be the one to get. Given the build quality, the stability, if getting to work without having an accident because you accidentally let go of the handlebars to check, oh my God, did I leave my keys behind? You won't find yourself on the fucking ground with a broken shoulder and wrist and elbow. G'day, Angel, if you're reading this or watching this. If getting to work every day is significant to you, reliably, then this is, you know, pretty much the way to go. And if you want to have a quick burst, you can actually, you know, do that. The inclusion of cruise control, in my opinion, is critical on this, because if you had to be triggering this all the time, it'd just be boring, you know? Like, you can move your feet around on the deck. I try and keep my feet as centrally as possible, so I locate my back foot heel on what I can feel is the hinge plate, and I put my front foot toe facing a little bit out, so that it sticks off the board a little tiny bit, but the ball of my foot's still on the board, and I locate it by tapping against the stem. This is a long crawl up here, by the way, and we're still sitting on 24, so, you know, that's good. So, you know, as a city point and squirt thing where, you know, you're going to be stop-starting all the time, I don't think this makes a lot of sense. But if you end up commuting on, you know, lengthy cycle paths, which are pretty common in Brisbane actually, this is the way to go. The only problem is Brisbane cycle paths are pretty hilly. That might knock you around. Don't know how it goes in Canberra, or I don't know don't even know what's in Sydney. Try not to go there. Depends on what town you live in. You know, most of the US is built on rivers, or, you know, the cities that is. So it should be all pretty flat there. So you should be able to sit along 26 k's. 26 k's is comfortable because it allows you to lapse your concentration, think about stuff, relax. If you're doing 40 k's, you've pretty much got to be focused on what might pop out from somewhere. It's not a safe cruising speed on a scooter, even if the scooter will do it. I thought I'd start the camera at this section because coming up around some of the bends up ahead, there's often some bird calls, so I'll just see if nature works for you today. That's bellbirds. And just a moment back there at Daggs Falls, I was cruising along at 23, and then I felt a momentary loss of power and dropped back down to 20 kilometers an hour. So I thought that's weird. So I gave the throttle a bit of a twitch to disengage the cruise control, and then re-engaged it at 23, which it's sitting on now. But don't know whether that was some sort of power saving thing that it figures, or some temperature thing. I might pop off on this bend here and have a look at the temperature in the battery box. I'm a big fan of why bother using the fucking brakes if you don't need to, eh? So let's kick the stand down and have a gander. Yeah, I'm wearing gloves today. Someone gave me a hard time about it. Okay, so let's pop the battery open. Yeah, I've still got it set on 000, so any of you guys that live in the area want to steal my scoot, you know how to do it. Okay, well, steal my battery out of my scoot. Let's have a look at the thermal. 44 coming from the controller. Feels warm to the touch, but not too bad. And battery's sitting at more or less ambient, so that's good. Okay, we're coming up on this Queen Mary Falls area. So we're still showing most of the bars in the battery. One of them's disappearing every now and again. And since uphill is going to be more of a drain on the battery than downhill, I'm expecting that I am going to get the car's lookout on this. So on the trip down, I'll obviously be using less battery, and I'll won't be interested in a high-speed downhill run on this one. I'll just make the return home as cruisy as possible, just, using gravity where I can, and just keeping the speed at around about 26. Well, obviously gravity's going to make me faster in places, but anyway, this is pretty good. I'm actually really enjoying the trip. It's fun. Like, on my motorbike, I'm always going faster. Like I'm doing, 50 or 60 kilometers an hour through here. It is a signed 60 zone, which is about as fast as you really want to go. Because, sure, if you are the kind of person that thinks that the road is a racetrack, then you probably want to go faster because you think, oh, this will do 100 along here. But there's these little bouncy things that jump out of the grass suddenly, and if you're on your motorbike and you collide with a 50 kilogram kangaroo, you're going to be in a pretty bad way. A couple of days ago, some poor dickhead got helicoptered out of here. I know the local fire guy. He was in attendance because, you know, that's the law. And yeah, that's pretty sad. But there it is. It's absolutely beautiful countryside, lovely and green at the moment. Birds flying in front of me. It's just an experience you don't get on the motorbike. Obviously, an experience you don't get on this is that I can, you know, I can travel 500 kilometers in a day. But, you know, horses for courses, considering that it basically costs nothing to operate, apart from my time to keep maintenance in check, I'd say this is a bit of a winner. Yeah. Coming up into one of my favourite sections on this road. I just absolutely love this section. Creek running on the side there is fabulous. It's just a nice little steep gully that no one's ever bothered to try and clear and run cattle through. You can see that it doesn't take long before you get up there and it's cleared. But it's wonderful stand of remnant gums. Just beautiful piece of countryside. Quintessential southeast Queensland. See if I can give you a better look. Just full of ferns down on the floor area. Beautiful bit of gum tree. And pretty soon it breaks around the corner into a little stand of rainforest. Obviously all of this area to the right and probably to the left was rainforest at one stage. Oh. Whipbirds. Okay. I know they always react to tyre noise. I know when I set my microphones up here to do recordings of whipbirds and other birds, I always hear the whipbirds call directly after a car's gone past, which is a pain in the ass for editing, but you know, there it is. Okay, well, let's move on through into the rainforest section. I'm feeling a bit of a rattle coming out of the battery case. I don't know what's going on. I have to look into that when I get home. Since I'm standing on the lid, I don't think it's going to fall out. Coming to that rainforest section now. If that rattle's coming through the mic. It's vaguely disquieting. Down to 2 bars on the battery. I'm not far from cars. probably didn't spot it, but a small wallaby just bolted from the side of the bushes up into the forest. Another one over there to the right. Got a bunch of pigeons. Okay, leaving the rainforest now. Okay, well, we're coming up close to Carr's Lookout now. I'm still on, 59 volts, which ain't too bad. Like, we're down to nominal, under power, so that's not bad. So, I have a positive feeling I'm going to make it home. Everyone smiles and waves. Well, apart from a few, cranky old bastards, or young bastards, or whatever the fuck. Cranky bastards. This is one of my favourite areas for having kangaroos jump out in front of me. Fucking hell. Pretty much every time I come the opposite direction from around that bend up there, down through here, there's a bloody kangaroo hiding in this grass here, and they panic at the last second and decide to jump in front of me, probably because the fence is there. I don't know. Even if they're on that side and they should jump up into the forest, they bloody don't. I don't know. Fucking cobbler's pegs, weeds all along the side of the road. Pretty unavoidable, really, I guess. Well, that's the gorge off there to my left. Take us out onto the platform and we'll have a look around on the platform before I go back home. Another whipbird. It's been a very enjoyable Sunday morning ride. Oh, a couple of wrens. Bet they won't come out on the camera. Too bloody small. Under the category of birds that I call BSB, bloody small birds. Oh, stupid scrub turkey. Okie dokie. Well, let's do what a motorcycle can't really do and ride straight down to the lookout. Because this is made for pedestrians. And this is a personal mobility device. There we go. Okay, so let's just pop you in a position where you won't fall over on me and take the opportunity to have a look at some of the readings. So okay, yeah, that feels a bit warmer. Let's see what it says. Plastic bags in there again, bloody hell. So 62 degrees. I'd try and measure the motors, but because they're silver they won't show up properly, so I'll just have to hand measure them. But if that's telling me that that's 60, which is comfortable. Motors are cool to the touch. Just do the other one. Yeah, that's other one's cool to the touch as well. So let's have a bit of a look around. Won't stay long. Yeah, here we are. Carr's Lookout. Quite a view, really. Well, might as well head back. How's it going? Good, mate. G'day, g'day. Do our appropriate social distancing stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Have a good day. Nothing coming. Okay. So, head back. Couldn't help but try and give you a bit of a glimpse of the rainforest again, because it's bloody great. And I haven't touched the brakes. I don't know. I appear to have lost a screw somewhere. Wonder where that went. Damn. It's fucking ugly anyway. Interesting. I've just disconnected the cruise control. I felt like it was holding me back. So yeah, it is. That's interesting. Wonder if it actually is putting anything. Nah. Don't know where that heat goes then. That's an interesting question. So. That's very interesting. Oh well. Didn't like that idea anyway. The bolt that's fallen out is I think it fell out on that hill the other day. I don't know, I haven't seen it for a while. I never use it. It's the bolt that holds the stem down when you fold the stem down and, want to be able to lift it. I can just replace that with any bolt, M8 or something like that. But might even just put a pin through there or something. But that's interesting about the cruise control. So having the motors engaged with the cruise control on this actually impeded my top speed. That's interesting. I'm going to try it in gear 1 on the way down. If the voltage goes up, then that means this does some sort of automatic regen when it's in cruise control. Interesting. I might try that on the way down. Okay, so we've got 26 here. If I take the cruise control off, it should speed up more like 30 on the steeper bit. Yep, sure is. Interesting. Because I know if I try and engage cruise control when I'm doing 30, I felt like a bit of a... you could feel the engine cut in and brake slowly. So 26, 28, 29, 30, hit it here, feel the engine kick in a little bit, and just do my 7 seconds. Cruise control engaged. Okay, I'm going to do a bit of an experiment with leaving the cruise control on. It's come back up to 58 volts, which is a bit below nominal. If I take the cruise control off, voltage isn't coming up much. Yeah, it is coming up a little tiny bit though. Speed's remaining constant. So I don't think it's doing any regen, because if I engage it, no, it's not slowing me down. I engaged it in first, or gear 1 before, and it wasn't slowing me down then either, so it doesn't seem to add anything. 58 point something, I'll disengage it. Should actually increase my speed a little tiny bit. Hasn't. At least the voltage is drifting back up from not having any load on it, so I'll just do gravity all the way down. Yeah, 42 kilometers. Voltage hasn't come up 50. I still like putting my leading foot inside the curve and my trailing foot outside the curve. Just feels better for me. Suspension's still good. We seem to be self-limiting here. I assume that, wind resistance is the major factor. .44. I think this is about the steepest little bit here. This thing feels really smooth in the corners. Not even a trace of instability. Adding power doesn't really add anything. You can feel a slight surge when I put it under, but yeah. Well, this little bit down here might be a bit. 2, 4, 5. Just selecting 5 in advance. This bit's a bit smoother, so I might actually be able to even power out of the corner down here. Yeah, I can. That's nice. But don't want to punch my battery too hard, so I'll just let that fall back down to 29, 26. We'll just cruise home the rest of the way on that gear. Okay, well, I'm most of the way back into town now. And it's interesting because on the journey out along this road under cruise control, we were doing 27 kilometers an hour as the maximum speed that mode 2 would allow. Now, what's interesting about that is that we're now doing 20, 24 or 25, and that's pretty consistent with understanding that power is required to move me along, and as the voltage drops down, it's now like presenting 57.6 volts compared to 61 or 64 volts might have been on the way out. That's less power because, you know, volts times amps, right? And as I've said before, I'm pretty sure that these controllers only have current limitations. So if you avoid fully charging your battery all the time, you're actually just going to get... Is that Paul? Fucking looks like Paul's truck. You're going to get less power, and your scoot will be a little bit more pedestrian. Isn't that just what you wanted? I'll be interested to see what the battery says as a result of all of this. So, back home. Okay. Well, let's have a look down here. And it's saying the battery's at about 43%, 42%, and 57.9 volts. Now, let's have a look up on the speedo here, and it's telling me, yeah, 58 volts. That the trip was 32.9 kilometres, and that'll be different to what my GPS tells me, so I might as well reset that right now. Okay, so let's now it's coming up to 42% on the battery down there. So yeah, that's all very interesting.